Got it going anytime you want them.
That's not in the way, is it?
No, that's fine.
Okay.
You see how you stuck your hand out? Do it again and I'll tell you something. Yeah, at the end of your fingertips, I'm not seeing anything past that.
Okay.
I'm not even seeing these flowers.
Don't put
Oh, I thought you.
No, it's fine.
Okay.
It's fine. And I can just see that about the half of the edge of that stuff right there.
Okay.
So if you were, like, hold it up, put your elbow on the table, kind of hold it up.
Here.
Let me see if that would be. Yeah, I'll hold it a little higher, and then tip it so it's kind of parallel to my camera. Like, let me show you.
Like it?
50 years.
Yeah, that I can see that. I can see that
Yeah. Can you
perfect
see
there.
that?
Perfect. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so just y'all talk to me.
What year was that now? 19 what?
Oh,
Introduce
this
yourself,
is,
too.
This is when they went to Washington.
Yeah, but what year was that?
Right. What year
I
was
don't
that?
think I went.
No, you didn't.
It's important to tell me the year or the decade at least, because if you don't, we don't
Yeah.
know what you're talking about.
Oh, this is New Jean Payne and
This
Helen.
was 1983
53.
to 89.
Yeah, 'cause all of them was living then.
And what was the
Every
event?
last one of them, and I think every
From
last one on there
when
is
they
gone.
went to the March on Washington from.
Martin Luther King?
Every last one of them gone.
Well, talk about that a little bit. That's good.
Okay, well,
Because I was just looking at that. I was trying to see if I went with them.
You didn't.
I think I did, but I don't, I didn't take my picture or anything. Because I remember New Jean Payne, that was in 1953, see.
Did you all take a
and
bus
all
or
of
what?
these on
They
this
took a
here,
bus.
when we went to from Marion County to D.C., all of these on this picture here was alive, and every last one of them is gone.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
they have left here like.
What year is that newspaper article?
Ethel and New Jean stayed out here where out here by you. Murray Quarterman,
let's see, from
63
60.
to 1988.
Okay, the march was what, in 63?
Yeah, because I'm looking, there's Helen Payne there, and Murray Quarterman. Murray Quarterman passed, did she? Yeah, Murray Quarterman's still living. I can remember Murray Quarterman was about the oldest one, and Patson, a long time ago. Because I could remember going from Murray, I was staying up on Monroe Street, and my mother, my uncle, because my uncle, he lived until 100 and some.
Whoa! Really?
Yeah, he went to live with my aunt in Dayton, Ohio.
Okay.
And so they were up there. But with me, I could remember Mama putting on me this little dress and send me down to, down there to the church and everything. She would send me to Sunday school down there.
Now you were
I guess
born
I
in-
was about, what? I guess about 10 years old.
What year were you
And
born?
here now I'm 96, and I've been here that long. You know what I'm saying?
What were you born?
Yeah, what year were you born?
I was born in 26.
26, okay.
Uh-huh.
Thank you.
I was born in 26. That make me 96.
Sure does. Sweet 96.
Been here a long time. As I was saying, I could remember my mama sending me to the school and the church there, because all of it was down that way. And so she sent me to both of them. And and I could remember my two girls. And that's when the last one I just buried. I sent them, like my mother sent me. I sent my two girls down there. So it's been years and years, and I was looking at this picture here, and I said, my goodness, I say it's not either one of them on this picture is alive. Every last one of them gone. Who is that?
I think that's Charlotte Meade.
Who?
Charlotte
I
Meade.
don't know her.
She's still here.
Isn't that Helen Payne?
Helen Payne down here.
Who was that?
But this is Charlotte Meade, and I don't know who that is.
That's 19... Because I know them two
See,
is
this
young.
is Mary Quarterman.
Yeah, Murray Quarterman there.
Charlotte
I don't know
Meade.
who them is.
This one is Charlotte Meade. I don't know who that is.
No, some of them went on a trip wasn't there.
How many people do you figure went from Marion County to that Martin Luther King march?
So I
It was a
don't know.
bus full of them.
A whole bus?
Yeah, they used to take bus trips and go on places like that. And I used to go because I love to go on trips, And I used to go on trips, you know, 'cause I go with this, what was it? They would take a bus.
Mm-hmm.
And we would, I think, me and Miss Bryant, she used to go to our church. She's passed. And she'll be the owner's black person on there, and me and Doris Oliver, we would be on them buses and go on different places where they went everywhere. They don't have those trips no more like that.
What about my mom?
Yeah, and Miss, that's right, and Daisy. And Daisy.
Is that your mom?
Yeah, we would be the oldest one on there, and we would enjoy it. I don't know if they have those trips or not, but I used to be on every last one of them because I had nothing else to do. So,
Well, tell her about your first remembrance of Mount Zion.
my first remembrance was Mount Zion. Like I said, I was living up on Monroe Street, and my mom would put me on this little pretty dress and everything, and send me down there to Sunday school.
Did she take you?
No, she didn't take me. We would go.
Really?
Well, see, on Monroe Street, you come down there by Dunbar School, and it was a little cut down there, and you could just go down there.
Yeah, weather wax. Wasn't it weather wax?
Yeah.
I have no idea.
You go up past Dunbar and then...
Yeah.
I
And
think it's
you've
weather
seen
wax.
that little...
I've seen that on a map somewhere.
Right, and you would just cut right there off. And then where I was staying, Miss Brooks, the First Street school teacher, she was the first, Miss Brooks was we was staying down under her.
That's when
And
you were
my
a little
girls
girl?
could look down on the porch and look right back up down in there. So when they were right there looking at the school, you know,
Did
and
she
the
teach-
church was right down down there on what you call that street where that church was.
Cleveland.
I forget the name of that. Going out there, out where the old Mount Zion is now. What you call
Cleveland
that?
Avenue.
Okay, we could cut from Dunbar School down on there, Cleveland Avenue, down there to there. So it wasn't, you know, too much. And then they always had school guards and stuff around, you know,
Okay.
like that.
Now, let me get this straight. Was this when you were in grade school? Miss Brooks was your first grade teacher, or were your children when you were older?
Who?
You were talking about Miss Brooks taught first grade?
Miss Brooks?
Yeah.
She was the first grade school teacher.
When you went?
Huh?
When you were in school? Or
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So that was probably about 1930
Way,
or something.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we could, you know, come down from there
Okay.
and go to the church.
So you went to first grade at Dunbar?
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
Yes. I was in first grade.
Okay, that's good.
I was young.
Well,
Mom
yeah.
would say, because like I say, my uncle was 100 and something when he passed, and he stayed on the top of Monroe Street.
Okay.
I think Mama was in 3 houses on Monroe Street. She, you know how a long time ago, you know where that church is now, up there?
That Catholic church?
We stayed next door to that.
The big Catholic church?
Beside the church. That
Okay.
church on Monroe Street.
Okay, yeah. Up
All
where
the way
the
up
Cherry
there
Street,
to the
where
middle.
where the
Not the one now.
Okay.
It was up in the middle part.
Okay.
I think it was a Methodist church.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
Is it still there now?
Huh.
Is it still there now? Is it still there now?
Yes.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
Okay. I'm thinking of a different one then.
There's a church up that way, and we was right there next to that church. Then crossed the street. Mama was in that house. Next thing I know, Mama was up to Uncle's house with my uncle. What was it? We were just all over Monroe Street, and you can go up to the top of Monroe Street and hit Spring Street and Spruce Street.
Okay.
You could go through, and it was a path to go down on Cleveland Avenue down
Okay.
there. And all of that's up in bushes now.
Really?
Yes.
Oh,
All the way up in
that's
Brooks.
interesting.
Because I think it was another teacher right up at the top of that hill, but I can't think of her name. It's been so long. Because she lived right up on the top of Spring Street, and her house was sitting right there. And kids would cut across that field and go down on Monroe Street and cut on down to the other.
Right across the top of the hill.
Yeah.
Not have to go up and down.
Yeah, it was just, the street was just all together there. Oh my God, like Elsa and them, Miss Lee was staying at this picture here, Alpha Lee, now, they were staying at the very top of Monroe Street.
Uh-huh.
Okay, before Hollis, when Miss Lee died, she gave Hollis the house.
Okay.
And the house stayed there until they tore it down.
Okay.
We just can go up through the orchards, pick up blackberries down
Ooh.
through the field. Yeah, I'll go down there and pick up blackberries. We just had a big old bucket, and Mama make up good old blackberry pies.
And this was where at the top of Monroe?
Yeah, I mean it's not
Up
like
on the woods
yeah,
on the way down?
it's not like it used to be. I mean, shoot, us kids would just take over Monroe Street. I was just trying to say, I don't think nobody can. We used to stay up on now. All of them was gone. They just been tunked out.
What about the activities that you were involved in at the church?
In
Mount Zion.
In Mount Zion. Oh, Mount Zion, I was, oh my goodness. What did all I do in Mount Zion? Well, we had so many different things going on, like it was the Women's Guild, and it was, then the usher, I was the usher board. I was on the Women's Guild. I was just in everything, down there. I was just in everything.
Did you get baptized in that?
I got back, my
Tell
two
me
girls.
Tell me about that.
I got baptized down Mount Zion.
In that basement.
In the basement. They had the pool in the basement.
It's still there,
Yes. I was telling them about Mount Zion when I went down there the other day. I said they had the steps right up next to the pulpit. That wasn't like that.
Okay.
Them steps, you couldn't, I mean, his office was there, okay?
On
on the one side and everything.
Mm-hmm.
But they had those steps right there close to the pulpit. And the steps never been there.
Was the pulpit always up a little bit high?
They were back.
The pulpit was
Yeah,
back?
they wasn't right close to the pulpit.
Okay.
Everything was back.
Back in that kind of
Yeah,
hole?
because when we had plays and things, the kids used to say their speeches down there. And they wasn't up at the pulpit, and those steps is up at the pulpit and everybody.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't like that.
So did you have like the pulpit part
Yes,
and
they
then a
had
flatter
like
part
platform,
lower?
like a platform there, and they were just everything was just. I don't know why would they put the steps like that? I wonder. Whoever bought the house, bought the the church. So I don't know. It's just changed because when I walked in there, I thought, oh my God, this place has changed.
Mm-hmm.
Now I tell you who else you might know. No, I'm gonna see. I think most everybody's about gone. Because ain't nobody's in Ethel's family, because Hollis gone and her sister and Marie and all of them gone. And then the Blands, Miss Bland had a whole lot of them. I don't know who living there, because they stayed on Monroe Street for a long time. Miss Bland, yeah. So it was Miss Bland, and it was the Harris, Sarah Harris, and do you remember Sarah Harris?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, they would stand next to the church after we were down there next to the church up on Monroe Street. They remodeled it. See, Joni was out this way.
Out this where you are now?
Yeah, she was out
Okay.
this way. See, I lived on Monroe and
Over there.
yeah, and Hamilton Street. They're all right along there. Because I stayed on Monroe Street, then I moved right there, right across from Miss Brooks. We lived there too with my two girls. See, the whole Monroe Street, all I knew, Monroe and Hamilton, because that's what, it was close to the school and everything.
Well, back then people didn't have cars like they do now either.
Right.
I guess were there buses here and
Yeah.
train? Did you have what are those things on the railways? The rail? What do you call that?
Yeah, you mean
The
where
trolleys.
Trolleys. Did you have trolleys here?
Yeah.
Down Jackson and
Charlotte, let's see, when did Charlotte move there? Because there was somebody else living there. I forget their name. When Charlotte moved there, I think I had moved away from, did I move? I think I was just getting ready to move away from there when Charlotte come there.
Now, how old were you when the trolleys were running?
When Charlotte?
No, when the trolleys in the street.
Oh, my goodness.
On the rails.
Oh, now, trolleys in the street.
Okay.
The streetcar. You mean streetcar?
That's what I mean, streetcars. I don't know the right word. Get me straight.
I was wondering what you talking about trolleys. You know.
Tell me about that. Tell me about
You
that.
mean the streetcars?
Yeah, tell me about that. I didn't see any. I've never
There
seen
wasn't
any.
no streetcars up on Monroe Street. They was all down on Main Street.
Is
And
Main
down
the one?
Yeah, you know where,
Is the Main the one
where
the
the Black
courthouse
Elks
is on?
was?
Yes. Is that Main?
That's where the train. We used to go down there to catch the train.
Okay.
Yeah, you could catch a train down there.
To go where?
Across from the Black Elks with the trains and stuff from down there.
Where would it take you, the train, if you got on there? Just through town?
Okay, you know where Adams Street was?
Yeah.
Okay, you know where the hot dog stand, you go down over that hill down
Where it
over-
used to be?
Yeah, that down over there.
Uh-huh.
That's where the train used to go up by there. The Black Elks was right here.
Okay.
Okay, you go down there, and the train was right. The train would run up and
Up
down
through
that.
town.
Yeah,
Through
mhm.
town. Okay. Did you have to walk down there to catch a train, or did you?
Yeah.
That's a long way
And-
to walk. You may as well walk
And
where you're
another
going.
thing, I used to have to go to Clarksburg to catch the train.
Okay.
The last time when my dad died, I went to Clarksburg to catch the train.
Okay.
That's where they took me there to trust it, but I couldn't do no business, so they sent me back home, and Mama had to go. My mother had to go
Yeah. Yeah.
because I couldn't do no business.
Right. Right.
And Mama was working, and she did not want to go, so she sent me. Because they were separated anyhow.
Yeah.
And she sent me, and she got a call, and they said I couldn't do no business at all. 'cause
Were you
I was
too young? Wow.
Didn't the train at one time take you to Pittsburgh?
Yeah, and everywhere.
Okay.
We didn't know nothing about all this young stuff then. That was new stuff.
Yeah.
You see, everything was just new to us. Because these guys could tell you everything.
Let me ask you
that
this.
They were down at the church, you know, these two guys here. Eugene Payne and, what his name here? Lawrence Horton.
Okay.
They
Yeah.
could tell you
See
everything
their
because
name.
they were deaconess down the church before
Now
they
let me ask
passed.
you this about town. How far back can you remember that the roads in town were paved? Were they always paved when you remember?
Okay, it was a night. Let me see, who was living then? I'm going to see what year that was now. When I was first started with, like I told you, I was in about the 6th or 7th grade.
Okay.
I can tell you like that. You
Okay.
know.
Were they paved then?
Yeah.
They had already been paved?
Yeah,
Okay.
there wasn't no dirt road.
Right.
They were paved.
Just plain old paved.
And no, did nothing come up there but like a bus maybe.
Okay.
Or something. They didn't come all the way up Monroe on 7th Street. They
Right,
just come
just
down.
the
We
width.
had to walk down there to the bottom of like Patrola. You remember Patrola's grocery store?
Mm-mm.
You don't remember them? They used to own Main Street with stores.
Did they really? No, I didn't live here. I was down in Bluefield, and
Yes,
I wasn't
Lord.
a twinkle in my daddy's eye then. I came along in the 49.
Oh my goodness.
I'm a youngster.
Yes. I don't know. I don't know. I don't think I have no pictures of way back down like that. But I did because I've taken a lot of pictures.
Have
But
you?
I don't remember, that far back, because let me see, with 96, your mind ain't sharp like it used to be.
I don't know. You sound pretty sharp to me.
I think so too.
You can't remember as much, but I could remember some of the stuff because my mother was an elk, and then she put me in the elk.
Okay.
So I've been an elk and an Eastern Star for the long, because
Really?
everything my mother was in, she put me in.
Mm-hmm.
Because back then, my father was in St. Louis, like I was saying. I couldn't do the business.
Right.
They sent me, so I had to come back home and do that. So it just been mine and T Mello. They used to call her T. You remember?
Yes.
Yes, sir. So, but
Well, since some people may see this, and since you're 96 now and still kicking high, you got any advice for those of us who would like to follow in your pathway?
my parents, my mother,
Uh-huh.
because that's all I had was her T. They call her T.
Okay.
And she was in some of the books from, 'cause I think she passed when we were down there on down there by the school.
Okay.
That's where she passed from there. And they used to call her T because she joined everything. And she used to work in the kitchen and stuff like that. And she would drag me around because she didn't want to leave me at home by myself.
Uh-huh.
So she would take me. And she'll tell them, don't touch my daughter. And I'll go with Mom down to the Elks and everywhere.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
When you were little?
Yeah, I'll sit right there with my mama. Yeah, so I had a brother, and he played on the football team. They called him Aggie. So, and he went to Detroit.
Okay.
So, and like I said, I've been with Mount Zion a long time. Because I can remember Mama sending me to Sunday school and church, and I sent my kids to Sunday school and church. And both of them got baptized down at old Mount Zion. They sure did. And Miss Brooks was the first street teacher down there, and there was Miss Robertson, and I was trying to think of the lady stayed up there on Monroe Street. Trying to think. I'm gonna see if any of them was living. No, I could ask Ethel, none of them, because they're them the only one I can remember staying up there that long. And let me see who else used to stay up there. I think that was all.
Now
The other ones, they was past.
You said a
before
minute
me.
ago that you were friends with Sister Lacey's mom. Did I get that
Right.
right? So tell me some about that, y'all.
Well,
I guess that's why y'all have been known each other ever since you were a little kid.
right.
Well, Joan younger than me, way younger
Yeah.
than me.
Well, yeah.
Well, I was never a member of Mount Zion, but my mother, she attended Mount Zion since she was
What was her name?
Daisy Smith.
Okay.
At that time, she was Daisy Huffman,
Okay.
and her father was a member of Mount Zion.
Okay.
And I didn't become a member of Mount Zion until I moved back here, which was from California.
When did you go to California?
When I went to California,
You're how old were you?
24, 25.
I went to the other way, to the other beach.
And then I returned in 06? No,
96 maybe.
no.
Wasn't 06. Might have been 2006.
Yeah, 2006. I'm sorry.
2006.
When I returned then, I became a member. But I remember my mother, she, as Miss Birdie, they had the guilds, and she was a member of that, and she was a member of the choir.
Mm-hmm.
And it was so nice that when they would march in then. The
Okay.
choir would, and it was very uplifting. And after my mother passed, I remember Miss Birdie telling me when they would march in, I didn't see her little head bumping in, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And Miss Birdie said, "It's going to be all right. You're going to be I told her, it's never going to be all right. You know, because when you lose your mother, you lose.
That's big.
Yeah. But my mom was always political. She worked at the polls.
Oh, really?
She was a member of the, what they call the elderly, I forget the typical name, but she was a member where she would travel to the Senate down in Charleston, and she would work with the aides and the Senate and for like she might have been down there for like 3 days at a time.
Okay.
And
That when she was an adult or as a teenager?
as
or?
an adult.
As an adult, okay.
Now I don't know too much as a child what she was involved in, but as an adult.
Well, that would have been what, the 50s and 60s?
Mhm.
Okay.
Now this is also part of. She was eligible. She did this.
Let me
She was a honorable member of the Elders Senate.
Let me hold this up and get a. Whoa. Nah, I can't get far enough away. Okay. Thank you.
So those were her two programs that she was involved in as an adult politically. And then our family was always attached to doing political things because here was my brother.
Oh, wow.
And he was part of the, try to get it straight, of the JCs. And
I'm going to use my cell phone to take a picture of those. Since I can hold it up over the... Where's my head glasses?
They'll tear them.
Yeah.
Lay it on. No, it'll be
Yeah,
all right. I think if you
oh.
just lay it on, leave that whole thing on the table, should be fine.
okay.
Just lay it flat, and I'll hold this flat, and that should do what I need. And you can keep on talking. Let's see. Let me just get it so I get some of the glare off of it.
Yeah, and he also was,
Are we talking about this?
yeah, this and that.
This little one and this?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I
Okay.
say you don't look like itself, Dawn.
I'm trying to get some of that glare off. And, I'm just going to have to live with it.
Probably have to turn the light
No,
because you're right under the light.
I'm watching it.
Shut me up.
Okay, so now I've got...
83.
Okay, you can talk about it. Tell me about it.
Okay, and he also was a member of the motorcycle club, the, what were they called?
Is that the one that Durden,
Yeah,
Louis Durden was in?
they were all members of that with Reverend McKinney.
Okay,
And he wasn't a reverend then.
that's all right.
And they would do holiday things, give out turkeys.
Really?
So they were always involved in some type of political thing. And then when we lived out here, it was Jackson Addition, and the streets were not paved.
Okay, out
So,
here?
Yeah. So
And that
I-
was what decade?
Oh God, I was
60s, 70s, 50s?
probably it had to be 50s.
Okay.
50 to 60s. Because I was probably in high school then. And so my mother and Mr. Horton and Mr. Payne and Miss Hain, they worked on
I'm going to take this over here so I'll be out of the way.
They worked where they got the roads paved.
Oh, really?
Yes.
That's important.
And they had formed an association called Jackson Addition Association.
Is this where we are now, Jackson Edition?
Yes.
Okay.
And any advancements, they were responsible for that.
And what was the name of that group again?
Jackson Addition Association.
Okay.
Now they're still around, but they haven't really been active for some time.
Mm-hmm.
Now this picture,
Okay, wait.
even though it's related to the Masonic, most of those people on there attended Mount Zion.
Okay.
That's a Reverend, what is his name at the end?
This one here?
No, this is Robin Griffin. He lives in D.C. This is Donald's wife. This is Jennifer
Right there
Chisholm.
in the,
Okay.
And then that's my mom. And this is,
that's the
Linda-
girl that
Linda
live out
Meeks.
Barrows.
and then that's Miss Birdie.
Do me a favor. Hold that up again and hold that up here
And this is
tell me.
Reverend Mitchell.
Tell me, yeah, because I was in the way and.
Oh, okay.
Okay, hold this hand up a little bit, and just kind of, if you can go
Left to right.
whichever way you remember is
Okay.
fine.
Reverend Mitchell, Birdie Williams, Linda Meeks.
You're going that way.
Yes.
Okay.
What's that?
Who you pointing at? Though?
Wait a minute.
That's
Oh,
the
that's
girl
my
you was
mom.
telling about.
The fourth lady over.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
And then this is Jennifer Chisholm, Nancy Smith, and Robin Griffin.
That's Reverend,
Mm-mm. And so they
Church
were
out
involved
the-
in a lot of political
and his
things.
wife. Ain't she on there? Yeah.
Yeah, Donald's.
Yeah, there she is at the end.
No, Janie's not on here. That's Nancy.
Ain't that his wife?
Mm-mm.
That's Reverend. He got the church out Chesapeake, ain't it?
Yes, that's Reverend Mitchell.
And that's Nancy.
Right. And Jennifer Chisel, my mother.
That's your mom and the
Linda
girl
Meeks.
and that's me standing next to Reverend.
Right. So it all went together with the black community. The Eastern Star, the Masons, and the church. And then the one good thing about the church, like the children, the teachers from Dunbar,
Mm-hmm.
they all mostly attended Mount Zion. And that's what made, I think, Mount Zion very prosperous.
Mm-hmm.
Because you went to school, if you acted up, the teachers, I don't know how we didn't have too many phones in this town that people had.
Party lines, didn't you have?
Yeah, we did.
We had party lines.
Hmm. And when you came home, now when they say it takes a village to raise a child, we had a village.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you acted up in school in those times, the teacher would spank you.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you came home, you got another spanking. So it was a very strong community, and I miss it now because we don't seem to have that anymore. Now,
I don't think many places have that anymore. I think it's the times as much as
Yeah.
anything.
now when it came to the March on Washington, the first two people went was my mom and Miss Helen that she used to live across the street.
You remember her last name?
Payne.
Helen Payne.
Mm-hmm.
Payne.
Mm-hmm. And then this was the bus that took them back for the anniversary of Martin Luther King dream.
Well, I got a picture. The last picture I went to, they took a picture. This child, with me and her, was on the picture. I was trying to think who else was on the picture. I think that's the last trip of one of them I taken. You know, like that. We went to, where did we go? I was trying to think the town we went to, because I got it on my wall in the living room.
Oh. Now, I thought I had found a picture of my mom when they came to interview her, like 20 years after the march.
Oh, really?
Uh-huh.
And I thought I put it in this book, but I can't
Let
find
me
it.
have that again.
I was trying to
Well, you know, that's if you find it in the next week or two, you can let me know and bring it to
If
church,
I
and I'll
find
take a
it,
picture of it there.
I'll let
Okay.
you know, because it was the last trip I went with them to I think
the
it was
march.
taken here in Fairmont, though.
Was
It was
it?
something they had here.
Okay. Let's see. Went to D.C. for the 83 and 88 anniversary. So this was the anniversary.
Mm-hmm.
This wasn't the 63. And this was people submitted photos. Supreme. Okay. This was in. Oh, that's when it was established. Okay. Okay. Thank you. Yeah, that's it's interesting. And when Sister Smith and I went riding around town, I spent a couple of pastors. I interviewed her first and talked with her a while. Then I said, Sister Smith, put me in the car and ride me around town and tell me stuff. So she showed me where the Black Elks was, and where
Yeah.
the Shoes was,
Yep.
and where the other joints down there. And they told me about Miss Vin down here and all these places where people used to have stuff in their basement.
Yeah.
I never knew about that.
Oh, you never did?
No, well, I mean, I didn't live here, and I was young. I was younger than I wasn't
Younger.
around when that happened.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Then they used to have a lot of little juke joints out here.
Out here too,
Mm-hmm.
in people's homes,
Yeah.
because they got their license and.
Well, I don't know if they got their license. I can't clarify that. But they had out here, they had doggies, and
Yeah.
they had, what's his name?
We come down here.
Apple.
Yeah, a big apple.
Doggies and these are names of places in people's houses?
Yeah, that's the only place where we could.
Uh-huh.
That's
We could
where
go.
we went.
That's
To go to
crazy.
the houses and have a good time.
Well,
Then my neighbor up the street, Miss B, she would sell on the weekends moonshine.
I mean, Miss B, just the letter B.
B Hicks.
Yeah.
Is she still around?
No.
Okay, so I won't get in trouble.
Mm-mm.
So that was like without the license.
Well, I have no idea.
You
I
don't
was
know.
a child.
You were a kid, but
Yeah.
moonshine's typically.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I never drink that stuff. I tasted one time and it burnt my throat. I said, that'll get you. Yeah.
I'm not much of a drinker myself either.
Yeah.
That's funny. So it was mostly drinking and partying. I mean, there was it, well, gambling and stuff. Was that people did do that, or was that? I mean,
That's what they did because, you know, the people here, they worked hard
Right.
all week. And then on the weekend, they like to experience some type of entertainment, you know.
right, relax,
Right.
right.
Yeah. I used to come out here and see my brother, my God, and go out the back door because he'll give me, you know. I used to sneak out here, you know, and down, you know, where they were having a good time, I thought. And they said, here come Aggie. I'll shoot out the back door and go, come
Oh,
on.
because you weren't supposed to be here.
No.
Oh, so you.
I
Oh.
was young then. You know how you young folks is, you know.
Yeah.
Trying to have a good time.
Kind
and
of grown.
Mm-hmm.
That's cute.
I tell you, I was glad when you could go out, go into places and have a good time, because then you couldn't.
Yeah, yeah.
They said, here come Aggie, you know, better get out of there.
Of course, you had your own good time in your own places too. You know,
Yeah.
I mean,
So-
it's funny.
Not like it used to be.
Fairmont used to be a very booming city. Because we didn't have many cars.
Mhm.
So wherever we went, we walked. So I would walk from here to downtown. And, you know.
It's a nice little walk.
Yeah, but you
Yeah.
were young, you know, you didn't
Yeah.
feel nothing, and you would just, you knew that's how you had to get downtown. And, but they had dress stores downtown.
Yeah.
They had,
You walk, you had to walk.
they had stores like Mons, Golden Brothers,
Mm-hmm.
Hartley's, Jones's,
Just, yeah.
jewelry stores, Ray's. It was, downtown was booming.
Mm-hmm.
Now we have nothing down there.
Don't have nothing down there.
So, and I don't understand why the people who are in charge of this planning of the city are not bringing any stores to, you know, make the town prosper. I don't understand
It's
why.
all out on the interstate, and it's all in the malls, and now it's all on Amazon, and people just don't go shopping like they used to.
Well, even when
Then
they
shopping.
redid the mall out there, they have no stores that for women, for the mature women.
Oh,
They
yeah.
have no stores for the mature woman. And they have like different eating places, but you know, we need something else. They do have a hospital, that's good. And but we
Yeah, that's
need-
real good.
we need other things out there. You know, shoe store, you have to go, like now when I get my clothes clean, I have to take them to Clarksburg.
Isn't there a dry cleaner right over there?
Well, I don't put my good stuff in dry cleaning world.
Oh, okay. I
They
got a
have
linen tablecloth I need to get done. It's got kind of like this, and then should I not take it there?
Well, I take my linen stuff there, but not my clothes.
Okay. Okay.
Cause the cleaners I used to take my clothes to, they closed down. I mean, everything's and you get your shoes fixed, you got to go to Clarksburg or Morgantown. They could have put a shoe shop out there in that mall, you know, for repairs, but they didn't.
I wonder how many people get their shoes repaired, though. That might be. And you know what? They're all wearing sneakers. So, that the businesses are probably thinking, how many customers I gonna have? But mature women, good grief, West Virginia's full of us.
Yeah. We get our shoes fixed. So like when I take mine, I have to take friends' shoes
Mm-hmm.
and pick them up, you know.
Make a trip. Really?
Yeah. So.
Yeah, 'cause I could remember my baby what just passed. She was in 5 or 10 downstairs in there,
Mm-hmm.
and so you had to sit a certain place, you know. And she said, "Mama, how come we gotta sit? We had to sit way back here on the side." I say, "It's segregate, baby. You got to sit. You know. You trying to tell your kids, you know."
Yeah, how do you
stuff
explain
like that.
this, right?
She would ask me, "Why we had to sit over way back here for?"
Were there laws like that, or that's just the way people forced things to be?
There was a law.
Law?
Mm-hmm. They didn't. I think they didn't integrate the schools here until '56.
Okay.
And my brother and Reverend Dobbs were the last people who went to Dunbar.
Really?
And yeah, they didn't integrate. And another thing about West Side, when they integrated the schools, then when it became my turn to go, they had like a dance troupe called the, oh goodness, I can't remember now, but it was a dance group.
At the
At
main
the
high school?
Mm-hmm.
So we all went and tried out. And then they made, you know, what they did, they discontinued it. So this town it's still full of prejudice,
Yeah.
but, you know, it's like now it's kind of hidden.
That's what people say, and I don't know because I didn't live here. And now in Bluefield, of course, I was a little girl and was looking at it a different way. But in Bluefield, when John Kennedy was shot, I was in the integrated gym class. Now that was what, 50 something, 50.
Mm-hmm.
That the school board down there, what they did, because there was two sides of town, and the black schools were on one side, and it was, and nobody said, oh, they're over there. It was just kind of that's how it was. So when we began to hear, I tell you what, the white parents got more upset when they closed the Catholic school and put them in with us than they did when they closed the black school. Put them in with. Yeah, they didn't like when the Catholics were coming over there.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but that was the big talk. But the school board at that time, my impression was they said, okay, anybody, y'all go anywhere you want to go to school. Everybody, just go where you want to go. Now, in town, there was no busing. Whatever color you were, mom and daddy got you to school, or you walked. That was it. So if your mom and daddy want to drive you way over here, come on over. So in junior high, we had mixed, not a lot, but there weren't a lot. I don't know, how many people were which, but right on up through high school. And I heard some stories like that, and I didn't know till I went back to my 50th high school reunion. We had a girl, she was in my class because she was in a college prep. She was smart. Her name was Carolyn Cheatham. She was a black girl. And we loved her. She was funny and smart, and I mean, the kids, there were some that would squabble. We didn't. We were fine. But and we had all these snotty little sororities in junior high. Did y'all have snotty little sororities? We had
not in high school.
Oh, this was junior high. We had see where we were. We had the rich doctors, and when the kids got to junior high, they sent them away. They were too good to go to school with us. And then we had the middle class people, and then the poor people. The poor people we thought were the ones that lived out in the country. We thought everybody that lived in town was like us. But they had these meetings, and every semester they'd vote in people into their little snot-nosed sororities. And I wanted in some so bad. There were 2 or 3 of them, and they would hold the dances. So I had friends. They said, we're going to vote you in. We're going to get you in the Glamas. And I'd stand around in the backyard at night when I knew they were voting, and I'd just be all excited that the phone would ring, and it never rang. And so I got my opinion of that. So I just washed my hands of that later on. But Carolyn, I found out from other people in a 50-year reunion, Carolyn, the black girl, all the sororities wanted Carolyn. They all wanted her in there, in the junior high sororities. But the mamas, mama put a clamp on that. But see, I didn't know that for 50 years.
Huh.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
50 years.
50
Well,
years, yeah. That was in the early 60s. Early 60s.
I don't remember having sororities in high school.
Well, I mean, we had them in high school. We had them in junior high. I'm talking
Wow.
6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th grade when you
Yeah.
tender and your heart breaks.
Mm-hmm.
You know? And finally, I got in one in the 9th grade, and I thought, well, ain't nothing to this anyway. Because I could still go to their dances. They had all dances all the time. And we had the city auditorium. I'm going to turn this off. Yeah, I don't need to record this. I mean, it doesn't matter.
I was asking was Mary Gordon, you know, because she used to, when she was up and had her in the right, you know, because I don't know now, she's not too, I don't know, I haven't seen her in a long time since she quit our church.
Well,
What church she go to now?
Morning Star.
Oh, do you?
How are they doing over there? They got a new pastor, I guess.
Not yet.
Not yet? Okay.
Mm-mm.
Okay.
No, he just left. When?
He hasn't left yet. He preached. I thought he was his last Sunday. Was
But
gone.
he didn't.
No, they haven't found anybody. They haven't.
Oh, I thought they found somebody.
No.
Okay.
Now he is telling them that. So what he's doing is letting his associates preach,
Mm-hmm.
and then he told them that he wouldn't leave the pulpit uncovered
Right.
until they found somebody. So I don't know why it's taking them so long. You know.
Well, took y'all a while, too.
Well.
I mean, sometimes you want the right person.
Well, they have a couple of candidates over there who would be sufficient, but it's the congregation has to vote on them.
Okay.
You know, and a lot of people think that he could just appoint somebody, but it doesn't work like
No.
that. Not in the Baptist church.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see. But he's kind of like said that until maybe April, if they haven't found somebody, you know, he's giving them a deadline. And
Well, he's probably ready to go rest a while.
well,
I
he's
mean,
been over there for 35 years.
yeah.
It's,
He's entitled to rest a while.
and they need a newer pastor, you know. I mean, he's a great pastor, I think, but 35 years, that's a lot of responsibility and a lot of time you might spend away from your family, and
Mm-hmm.
so he's ready.
So what else do we need? What else do I need to ask you guys?
I don't know.
I can remember Reverend Dobbs when he was standing on Eddy Street there, where he wasn't even preaching then.
Mm-mm.
My sister stayed up on top of Eddy Street, and his mom and dad stayed down on the bottom part there. And I used to go with my sisters up at my sister's house all the time.
Let me
And I
ask
would
y'all
see Reverend Dobbs, before he even started preaching.
Let me ask
Well, he
y'all
was a
this.
little boy.
He was
then.
young
Really?
then, stand down over. That's come he always said, I always know Mother Bird, because I used to know her a long time. He was a young, he wasn't even, preaching or doing anything then. His family stayed down over the hill.
Now, let me ask you. You went to California.
Yes.
A lot of people apparently. I could see why people Mother Birdie's age would stay. But when you get, I call us younger because I'm about your age, and I know of course I lived 2 blocks from the Virginia line down in Bluefield, and my dad had been in Virginia, and he told me all my, he said, whatever you do, get out of West Virginia. You're never going to find a job here. You're never going to.
That's what they always said.
Well, he was right, and
Yes, that's
because
true.
he and I didn't get along, as soon as I was able. I mean, I didn't go home from college. I graduated from Concord, dropped my gown on the ground, got in the car, and drove to Virginia Beach because I knew if I went home, I'd chicken out. And I didn't want to stay in Bluefield. I always felt like there's nothing here. I want to see the world. I want to get out and, And it seems like well, you've come back, I think, Proctor came back, and he's been all over the place.
Well, my life was like this. When I graduated from high school, I went away to beauty school.
Okay. Where'd you go to believe?
To Pittsburgh.
Okay.
Then I came back, and I started working at Westinghouse. And I worked there for like 5 years.
Is that where Pat was? Pat
Right.
Smith. Okay.
And then my sister, she was moving to California. So my mother and I, we went out there, you know. So that's how, I didn't stay, but my mom and we just went for like a month or so.
Check it out.
But then she came here to finish a class at Fairmont State. And so when she finished that class, I moved back to California with her and lived with them until I got married.
Okay.
And
Out there.
Out in California. So the reason I came back, because my husband was sick, and we would come home as children when my parents passed, and just be in this house, you know. And then when I came home at one time, I was thin, pale, and so my brother, he said, well, what's wrong? I said, I don't know. So he had already had tried to talk me into selling my home. I was like,
In California?
yes. And then I said, and moved to West Virginia? I said, you got to be kidding. So I was like, so I went back, and I had a friend who was a realtor. And I asked her, I said, can you sell this house? She said, well, yeah, where you want to go? I said, I'm going home. And that's how I came back home. And my husband was sick, and he was in the VA for a while. And then they transferred him down here at the nursing home on the Arbor. No, it wasn't
Down
Arbor.
in Clarksburg?
No, it was in Fairmont.
Okay.
The one on top of the Watson Hill.
Okay.
And, you know, but since then he's passed. And so that's how I got back to West Virginia, because my dad, he would say, I want properties for all of my kids. And I used to tell him, well, don't buy none for me, because I'm not coming back. This is why the old people tell you, never say never.
Yeah.
And that's how I got back to West Virginia. And it's been, I have not regretted it. It's been a spiritual experience for me. A financial experience. So I'm very content here.
That's good. That's good to hear. That's important.
So that's...
I tell you, been a long time. I was trying to think, where was Mount Zion Church before they moved there? I was trying to think where they were.
Before they moved to Cleveland Avenue? Before they moved to Cleveland Avenue?
Down on Cleveland Avenue, wherever that street down
Now,
there.
Sister Pat took me up to a parking lot at the top of, a little parking lot. Behind, there used to be a big furniture store on Fairmont Avenue.
On
across,
Fairmont Avenue. Oh,
across
yeah.
from the courthouse.
Down there where it was a store down there. It was a store you could buy furniture.
Yes, the furniture store. And the Presbyterian Church has a parking lot there.
Yeah,
and
I
there
can
was
remember there before they moved down where they're at now.
Now, my understanding was that was Cherry Street,
Yeah.
and that it was really a church formed in the man's house. But was there ever a real church building there?
Yes, it wasn't. I can remember going down there, but I don't remember going to that church where that church come from there to there.
Okay.
And it would take one of these guys or somebody like that. What, you know.
Do you remember that it was a church building in that location, or was it somebody's home where they met?
Yeah, look like it was down there by that Catholic church.
Yeah.
Yeah, back behind there.
Yeah.
I could remember that little bit part of it.
So, but was it a home or was it an actual church building?
No, it wasn't a church like. It was something like a you know, a long time ago they used to preaching, and not a church. It was just something like a building,
Storefront or something.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I remember a little bit of that.
Okay.
Because I was kind of young then, right back there.
But that was a transition between the man's home and 501.
That's before they moved down there. Because I can remember that.
You don't remember anybody named Ramage, do you? Ramage, Rammage, or gosh, there's another name. Somebody found and gave me, and I showed the pastor. I'm putting it all together. A deed for land that was written in March of 1902.
Wow.
Somebody sold. They didn't call it Cleveland Avenue. They called it Weatherwax.
Yeah, that's where it was. Weatherwax. That's what it was.
Sold that property to Mount Zion for $300 or $400 in 1902. I've got the deed.
I can remember that church there. Isn't that something?
Isn't that something? So I was wondering, you know, maybe Weatherwax, maybe Cleveland Avenue wanted a big route then or something, and maybe the part that they bought
changed around so much now.
Okay.
Because I could remember that church was there. We wasn't there, but we was somewhere, you know, and it was back up in there.
Yeah, that's exactly. I took a picture of Sister Pat standing in there and had her pointing, and I've got pictures of her standing, because you know that's important. That was your beginning, and if you don't have I mean, you can say anything, but when you take a picture out there, it's like, here was right here. It's kind of interesting.
I can remember that church back there. I don't think who was all down on Mount Zion then. I don't think nobody's living down there. Pat Mike can remember, but when Miss Durden used to bring them kids there, if she say you sit there,
that's what I hear.
You better not move, else she'll take you out. She'll take her out in the bathroom and beat their butts, and bring them back there and sit them down. I can remember that. Miss Durden,
you know what I like? Well, one of the things I like about Mount Zion is because of that old school be raised right attitude, and Pastor Staples has that too, and I like that, because that's what I grew up with, you know, and this, good golly, you know how it's all changed.
No change.
But the Word of God doesn't change.
No.
And what He expects us to do doesn't change.
No, not
we
at
best
all.
be finding that out.
So I could remember when I got baptized, I was fat then. You know? And this preacher from Bananga.
You were how old were you? Little.
And he could Reverend Quarterman. I guess he was kind of skimp or something. He could do me. He had to get the man
Get some help.
Come to church and
help you.
And put me in the water. I didn't think I was that big, but
you should have been buoyant.
I can remember that. I can remember that so good. I said, Reverend Quarterman couldn't do it.
Oh,
Well, he was always a thin man.
Really? That's good. I like it.
Yeah, I was a fat mama. A man couldn't put me in there.
Another thing about Mount Zion that I like, they would have fashion shows. I mean, they had a whole array of activities. They had fashion shows, and then they would have a tea special every year. And my mother would send us a tea bag.
Oh, really?
And my sister, she would say, "Did you get your tea bag?" So when you got the tea bag, that was $25.
What?
So she had 5 children.
Oh, God.
So
that's a lot of money back then.
Well, no, this was since we've been grown.
Okay.
You know, and another thing I liked about them, when they would have activities at the church, none of the women had problems. They all were responsible for a covered dish. And I don't know what you made, but Miss Little Baby, she would make the roast beef. My mother would make the macaroni and cheese. And I don't know what you used
Miss
to make.
Green and all. I used to make a lot of sweets.
While you were fat.
Yeah, when they asked, I took up I was fat. So,
But that was a good unity that they had, and not like the, oh, I'm not doing that. Oh, that's you know. But they had that cohesiveness that they just dwelt on, and it was nothing in that church
a little
that
bit of everything, and everybody donated everything.
right. So they didn't. The church didn't have a lot of expense, you know, like they have now, and it was just different. It was.
I tell you, it's not like it used to be. Like little Marie Edwards and all of them. I don't know.
There was 2 ladies in that church that never, well, every time I would come home, they never aged, and that was Miss Marie Edwards,
Oh yeah.
and Miss T. They
Miss
never.
Picken. You remember Miss
Your
Picken?
mom,
Huh?
your mom, Miss T.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
never aged.
Miss T, they call us.
Is T like T, the letter T?
Mm-hmm. They never aged, and they always looked the same, from my childhood to my adulthood.
Don't you wonder how they do it?
I don't know. My friend that lives in Atlanta, he said, ask Miss Birdie what she drinking, because that's what I want to do.
Yeah.
Because like, Joni was younger than I was, you know.
Yeah.
I really didn't know Joni until she
Grew up,
had
came
went
in
away and come back, you know, really.
as a child. She was
Yeah,
a child, your
because
friend's
she
child.
was younger than I was.
Yeah.
And I don't think Daisy let them get out and Scooby-Dooby like I did, you know.
No, we didn't.
Oh,
Cause
well.
I can remember every Sunday. This is when we were attending Church of God, which would be on Maple Avenue. But then they were down a little hill where their first church was, and then they moved up on Maple Avenue.
Is it gone? It's gone now, isn't it?
Yeah, it's gone. And so every Sunday, the girl who lived down the street from me, we would go to Ann Robinson's house, and her mother would fix us breakfast. Okay. So one Sunday we went down there, and there was a band, so, you know, we was going to go and dance. And we were dancing, and so somebody came and said, your daddy is in there. And I said, oh, okay. So I ran in and I said, hi, Daddy. He said, get your coat. He didn't say anything all the way home. So when we got home, my mother, she was having a fit.
Did she know where he was?
Did she know where we were? Yeah.
Did she know where he was?
Yeah, she
Okay.
sent him.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and so when we got in, my mother, of course, you know, she lit into us and said, well, get in there because I'm going to spank you. And we were like, for what? What did we do? Down there in that whorehouse. So I looked at my sister and she looked at me. I said, well, what's a whorehouse? She said, I don't know.
Or was it a whorehouse and you didn't know? It was just,
They
were just dancing. I mean, there was just a party or
It
something.
was the same house I had gone to every Sunday to eat breakfast, but she had an older sister who was kind of fast, and so the lady who lived next door to them called my mother, and you know, Church of God mother sent my daddy over there to get us, and
Okay.
we didn't know what a whorehouse was.
What a whorehouse
But the next
was.
Sunday, I was allowed to go back
Get breakfast.
because the band wasn't there. So that was, you know, that
What's
was
a band have to do with whoring?
we didn't know either. So I don't know. But
Oh, it's funny.
that's the story I tell people all the time, you know, because we was like, I mean, we got to spank it. And now, when we would come home, I would tell my mother the things she did. Oh, you guys are exaggerating. No,
You
we're
weren't
not.
exaggerating at all.
But they did things differently back in those days. You could not go up the street and didn't speak to Miss So-and-so, and she would call and tell your mother.
Mm-hmm.
And then my nephew was here last week, and he was talking about that too. And if you lied,
Oh, don't even lie.
you know, because you're like, no, I spoke to her. Oh, so you calling Miss So-and-so a lie? Well, that, so you got it again. But
Yeah.
things were different. You know, that's when we had a village.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not saying it doesn't transpire in other communities and with other people, but it was a deep-seated.
For a long time, y'all were forced to be in a village. So, you know, so of course you're going to huddle together because y'all don't want us, so,
Where
you
else
know.
could you go?
And, but that closeness, that's very, you know, I always admired that. And I always, now, I'm a little white girl living on one side of town. We'd cross town to go to the Methodist church, and there wasn't, well, there's a black part of town, but then there was other parts that were black too. So, you know, I don't know. But I remember going with my parents to the Methodist church through this little, I mean, talking 2 or 3 blocks, you know. And we'd go, and I'd see these black churches. And I'd see these people all dressed up, I don't know, you know, 12, 10, 8, something, smiling and laughing outside. That was my impression. I thought, they look like they're really enjoying themselves.
Yeah.
And here I am with my father, who's mean to me. You know, and then we go over here when the church was fine and okay. I'll tell you what happened at our church. They don't need to hear